Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're making this hair simulation. As you can see, let me just play the animation. The hair moves realistically well, somewhat realistically with the head object. It also follows the rotation, location, and I added some noise to act as wind. Oh, the hair also has collision with the head object, so today we're making this, and the first thing you need is, well, curves to act as hair, and one object to act as head. You can add ears if you want. And now after you got your head ready and your hair curves ready, click on the curves, go to geometry nodes, add a new geometry node. You can pin that. Let's go frame selected. And the first thing we're gonna do is resample curve. So I will resample curve. I'll use, let's say, 18. And now we enter the simulation. So add a simulation node input and output. Connect your curve. Move this over here. Let me first store the location of my curves currently. So store named attribute. Turn this to vector. Add a, let's name it rest pose. So it's the rest position. I need this P to be small and connect this to a position node. So now Blender is storing the position of the curves before they enter the simulation. And you need to duplicate this. You need to store the start pose, let's call this start/pose. Let's connect this, duplicate one more time to get the velocity. So drag this over here, add a map node. So subtract the current position from the last position to get the velocity. So named attribute, add your start pose or last pose, it's all the same. Connect this in here, duplicate this, make it scale, make it 0.95 so you don't accelerate to infinity. So your velocity gets reduced, like drag. And now you need to duplicate this. Instead of this, connect the rest pose. And instead of making this a positive, let's make it negative 0.2. So now it goes from its position to the rest position. So that means when we add noise and the position gets noisy, it will remain remembering the original position and trying to get there. So let's add a mix node and mix the first one with the second one. Let's connect them in here. Instead of this, let's name it Vil for velocity. And now, after we distort the hair, it will keep its velocity and it will try to return to its original shape. Now let's move this over here. Let's add a set position. So we will offset it by the velocity. So right now our velocity that we worked hard for, it's not affecting anything. So let's make it do something. So now it should work. If I add another set position and add a switch and connect to the tool a noise texture, and from the noise texture let's add a math, vector math, subtract 0.5, another math node, set it to scale. Let's make this 0.2, scale this by 0.1, and now you shift and left arrow to go to the first frame and press spacebar to play. Now there is something with our velocity. So let's see what's wrong. Play again. You make this negative. You need to set this to subtract and also set this to subtract. Now nothing is happening. That's a good sign. So when I switch the noise on, it distorts the hair. When I remove the noise on, hair distorted, noise off, hair gets back. Simple, right? Let's make this 1.4, add a position, add another math node, set this to add, and now we need a combine XYZ. Let's connect this to a time node. Let's add a math node here. Set this to a multiply. Let's multiply by 2 so we can control how fast it's going. And the W, let's add another time node. Set it to second. Now if I go to the first frame and play, switch the noise on, as you can see the hair gets very noisy. Let's duplicate this, put it over here, get a math, so multiply the Z by 1. We don't want our hair to move up. Now instead of this let's add 0.2, let's go 0.3. Now it looks like it's windy, but it's not very windy. Now you have a problem, so the top of the hair should not move with the wind. So duplicate this, and here you need to connect a color ramp. Let's look for ramp, color ramp, and here you need to connect the parameter. So spline parameter, connect the factor. Now if you play it, let's turn this to B spline, move this over here. Now it should be more, well, it's moving but it's not interacting with the head, so the hair goes through. So the wind part is done. Connect all these and go Ctrl G to group it. Connect this, press N, go to group. Let's call this speed, make this smaller, and now connect the scale. Call this noise scale, and you need also to connect the vector. Let's call it wind vector. You need also to control the scale. We'll keep it at scale, and instead of the color ramp let's use a map range. So map range, connect it in the same place, and instead of 0, let's use 0.2. It seems good. And let's control both of these. So from and the min and max. Now control tab to quit this, and you need to move this over here, and now you have your wind. Let's call it wind. Oh, forgot the switch. Let's connect the switch. So go to the switch, make it by default is off, and let's bring it to the front. Now control tab to go out. Now you have your wind ready. Next up, let's do the collision. So get the head, call it hair collider in here. Get the hair collider, set it to relative, and you need the normal of its face and the position of the face. So sample nearest, and you need the sample position to be your position. Okay. From these faces, you need their position and their normal. So sample index, and from the face geometry, you need the value to be the position, and you need another value. Connect the geometry to the geometry, the index to the index. Instead of position, you need the normal. And you need the face normal, and you need the face position, and you need to sample the face. So all of these need to be face. Let's duplicate the position. And now from the position, so let's just say you have a point here, and this is your face. First, if you subtract the position of your point from the position of the face, you'll get an arrow that points from the point to the face. You compare that arrow with the normal arrow. So if they're pointing at the same direction, the point is outside. If the point is here, they're pointing in the same direction, the point is inside. So subtract to get the arrow that points to the face, and you need to compare it. So math again. And how do you compare two vectors? You use a dot product, which is simply just multiplying the two vectors together, and if it's positive, they're pointing the same direction. If it's negative, they're pointing in opposite direction. So you need to compare the result of your subtract node with your face normal. And now if we just delete all these, if we connect this to a map range, just move this, need more space. Now let's watch the magic. As you can see, the hair gets a little lighter or whiter when it is entering or enter the face geometry. So to get it to be more white, we will take this value, make it really small, like 0.05. This should work. So now So now we know which point is inside. We need to push the point to go outside. So duplicate this, connect this over here. So the same subtract. You can actually take this and add a math node, and we can set it to scale and make the scale -1. Now let's group this. So Control G, we need our object. We also, let's look N. Let's call this value is N, so is inside, and this the push vector. And now Control Tab to go outside. Let's get this over here, and let's see if it works. So add another set position. Let's connect this to the offset, and let's add a mix node. So mix. So only when the points are inside, that's the only time this node gets to move them. So now should work. You can see, what is this? Let's connect our scale, and instead of -1, let's make it 1. Now it's not entering the face, as you can see. Sometimes it enters, so we obviously need more geometry. Let's make this 24. Let's replay. Like this. Now they're somewhat interacting with the face. As you can see, we got point over here. It's being stubborn. That's okay. You can always increase the subdivisions or the resample curve to get a better collisions. You can also duplicate this many more times to get better collisions. Well, iterating. Now let's see. Replay. Well, it should work. See these hairs? They're moving beautifully without getting inside the face. Or let's call it wind, is too powerful. Let's make it 0.2. Now it's almost finished. And now it's about time you add geometry to your curves, if you haven't already. Let's just take this, make it to mesh, so curve to mesh, and you need a set curve radius. Let's get a parameter, so spline parameter, go color ramp, add another color ramp, connect these two using a mix node, set it to darken, connect it to the radius. Let's preview this. So you want the first part of your hair to be negative, and let's flip this. You also need why is it not working? Oh, I haven't connected this one. Now it should work like this. So when you get a circle in here, a curve circle, and you disconnect this, you connect this, and you set this to 8, set this to 0.1, to 0.1, about 0.05, no 7 should work. Let's get this one like this, and it should work like so. So if you have a low resolution like I do, let's set spline type. Instead of poly, use numbers. You can resample too. Resample the curve. Instead of 10, let's use 32. And using this node, you can get away with really low resolution, like say 5. Though I have the resolution of 5, it looks smooth. See without this one. See? Click M. See? Let's turn the resolution back to 18. And let's add a transform. Transform geometry. Connect this to the profile curve. And let's scale along the y-axis. Now let's set this to 5. Now it looks somewhat acceptable. Let me just put this over here. Increase the hair thickness. Now it looks like the one I had in the preview before the video. Now when you play the animation, see we have collision, but the hair isn't moving with the face. Now let's fix that. Let's set the resolution to 6. Let's go to the next step, which is making this hair follow this head. So add the head collider, set it to relative. You need to get the rest position, so name the attribute. So rest position, you need to add these two, the rest position to your head collider. You need to get this over here and add a vector math node, set it to subtract, and subtract it from the position. Now add a set position, connect this to the offset. Let's make it a scale of -1. Now let's add a parameter, color ramp. Let's flip this. There's a faster way, like this. But I choose the old-fashioned way. Add a math node. Now a normal math. Connect the color. Set it to multiply. And multiply by -1. Grab this value, connect it to the scale. And now it should work. See, when I move the object, the hair moves, but the end of the hair doesn't move. So let's grab this, move it over here, set it to B-spline, or maybe keep it on linear, but instead of full negative, let's make it a little white. So now still doesn't move in right. Well, that's because you need to take this value, connect it over here, delete those. Grab this, like so. Now when you play the animation, your hair is moving. See? This controls how much of the hair is moving. So find it best to do it like this. Now it's moving, but it's not rotating. Let's get it to rotate. You need a vector rotate. So vector rotate, connect it in here, set it to Euler, connect the location as the center and the rotation to the rotation. Yes, it's this simple. Now see, it rotates, it moves, and it's not scaling. If you want to get it to scale, get a vector, or maybe just a vector, set it to multiply by 1, and you need to multiply by the scale. So now when the scale gets 2, the hair gets bigger or smaller. Anyway, we're almost done. Well, we might be done actually. And let's play with this. And also mix it like so. Now go back to our collider, replay the animation. Now you got yourself an anime hair. That's it for today. See you all in the next one. Sorry for being too quick. If you have any problem with the tutorial, and if you need the file, just send me a text on my Discord. The link will be in the description. So see you all in the next one. Take care.